Welcome back, first graders. It's me, Mrs. Lamb. We're here for CKLA Listening and Learning, Domain 3, Different Lands, Similar Stories. The elements of stories are things found in every story, such as characters, who, setting, where, and when, and the plot. What? Every story has to have these things. And also, many stories have a conflict or a bum, bum, bum. So the conflict in the story is the problem the characters face. Characters in different stories from around the world, as we've seen, might face similar conflicts or problems that they must deal with. The folktale today originated in the country of Japan many years ago, and it is titled Issun-bōshi. Issun-bōshi, which means 1-inch boy in Japanese, is the name of the main character in this story. This folktale, like the previous two folktales, also features a main character who is no bigger than a thumb. Listen carefully to find out how Issun-bōshi, the 1-inch boy, handles conflict. Will it be similar to or different from Tom Thumb and Thumbelina? Long ago, in a village in Japan, there lived an old man and his wife who more than anything wanted a child. They hoped and they wished. They went to the temple and prayed to the gods. "May we be blessed with a child," they said, "even if he's no larger than our thumbs." And then their prayers were answered. In 9 months' time, a fine baby boy was born to the old couple. The child was lovely and very small. They called him Issun-bōshi, which means 1-inch boy, for he was no taller than his father's thumb. Issun-bōshi grew up strong, smart, and helpful. Though he grew no bigger, when 12 years had passed, Issun-bōshi came to his parents and said, "Father and Mother, please give me your permission to go to the capital city, for I wish to see the world, learn many things, and make a name for myself." His parents were very worried, scared to think of all the bad things that could happen to Issun-bōshi in such a large city. But they knew their boy was smart and strong, so they agreed to let him go. They made for him a tiny sword out of a sewing needle. They also gave him a rice bowl for a boat and some chopsticks for oars. In the rice bowl, he floated down the river using the chopsticks as paddles, when the water became rough, and using his sword to catch fish. In a few days, he arrived at the city of Kyoto. My, what a busy city this is! So many people crammed in one space. He walked carefully through the streets, dodging feet and cartwheels. He kept walking until he came to a beautiful house, the largest in the city. At the foot of the steps sat a pair of shiny black geta, or wooden shoes. They belonged to the owner of the house, who was the wealthiest lord in the city. The door of the great house opened. Out walked the man who put on the shiny black shoes. Issun-bōshi called out, "Hello! Hello there!" The man looked around and, seeing no one, began to go back in. But Issun-bōshi called out, "Down here! I'm down here near your shoes. Please be careful you don't step on me." The man, who was the lord of the house, was astonished when he leaned down and saw Issun-bōshi. Issun-bōshi bowed and politely introduced himself. "My name," he said, "is Issun-bōshi. I have just arrived in the city and I would like to work for you." The lord picked up Issun-bōshi in the palm of his hand. In a friendly voice he said, "But what can a little fellow like you do?" A fly was buzzing around and bothering the lord, so Issun-bōshi drew out his sewing needle sword. With a quick swat, away the fly went. "You are quite an amazing little fellow," laughed the lord. "Come, you may work for me and live in my house." And so tiny Issun-bōshi went to live in the big, beautiful house, serving the noble lord. He made friends with everyone there, especially the princess, the lord's lovely daughter. It seemed that he was always at her side, helping her in whatever he could, whether by holding down the paper when she wrote a letter, or simply by riding on her shoulder and keeping her company while she walked the beautiful gardens around the house. In time, the princess came to feel strong affections for her little helper. In the spring, Issun-bōshi traveled with the princess and her companions to the cherry blossom festival. On their way home, they began to hear strange noises behind them on the narrow road. They could see nothing in the shadows when suddenly a huge monster leaped into their path. Everyone screamed and ran, everyone except Issun-bōshi and the princess. "Who are you? What do you want?" cried Issun-bōshi. "I am an Oni," growled the monster. "An Oni?" The Oni were terrible creatures who bothered the townspeople. But when Issun-bōshi stepped forward and shouted, "Get out of the way, you demon! I'm here to guard the princess! Step back!" "Ha! We'll see about that!" growled the Oni. Then he snatched up Issun-bōshi, plopped him in his mouth, and swallowed him whole. Down, down Issun-bōshi slid until he landed plop in the Oni's stomach. "The Oni should be more careful about what he eats," said Issun-bōshi. He pulled out his sewing needle sword and began to tickle the Oni's stomach. "Ah! Ah! Ah!" shouted the Oni. Then he gave a loud burp and out plopped Issun-bōshi. The Oni ran away, burping the whole way. Issun-bōshi ran over to the princess. She was bending down and picking up something from the ground. With great excitement, she said, "Look, Issun-bōshi, the Oni was so scared he dropped his magic hammer. If you make a wish on it, it will come true." Issun-bōshi bowed to the princess and said, "My lady, I would ask that you make a wish." "No, Issun-bōshi," said the princess. "You won this because of your bravery. You should be the first one to wish on it." So Issun-bōshi took the hammer and said, "I already have my greatest wish, which is to serve you. But if I could have another wish, I would wish to be as tall as other people." Then he gave the hammer to the princess, who made a silent wish on it herself. Then and there, Issun-bōshi began to grow taller until beside the princess stood a handsome young man. That night, when the princess told her father how brave Issun-bōshi had been and how he had risked his life to save her, the Lord was so happy that he gave Issun-bōshi permission to marry the princess. And so you see, the princess's wish came true too. Issun-bōshi's brave deeds were celebrated throughout the land. He and the princess lived happily together, along with Issun-bōshi's proud and happy parents, whom Issun-bōshi had brought to the Lord's house to be part of his new family. The end. Now that was a good story. Let's have a brain break before we get into some questions. All right, guys, so today for our brain break, we're going to play a game, and it's all about following directions. And so there's 3 different things you'll do for me. The first one is spirit fingers, and this is what they look like. Okay, yep, those are your spirit fingers. And then you can do lion face. And the other one is lemon face. So listen carefully, because I'm gonna flip-flop between the 3 choices very quickly. Are you ready? Start slow. Lion face. Lemon face. Spirit fingers. Okay, let's do it again. Lemon face. Lion face. Spirit fingers. Spirit fingers. Spirit fingers. Lion face. Lemon face. Excellent job paying attention. Well, let's see how well you paid attention about Issun-bōshi and answer some questions. My first question is, what did the old man and the old woman wish for in the beginning of this folk tale? You're right, they wished for a child. Well, what other folk tales did that happen in? Good job, Tom Thumb and so Tom Thumb, Thumbelina, and Issun-bōshi were all wished for by their parents? They must feel special. So the old man and the old woman at the beginning of the story wished for a child. My next question for you is, what brave deed does Issun-bōshi do? What deed was it that he performed? Yes, he defeated the Oni monster. The Oni monster. If you remember, everybody else ran away scared, but not our hero Issun-bōshi. What happened to Issun-bōshi at the end of this folk tale? Yes, he grew big and he lived, say it with me, happily ever after. That's always a good way to end a story. Okay, so my last question. How were Issun-bōshi's adventures similar to Tom Thumb and Thumbelina's adventures? Now this one I want you to take a moment, I want you to think about it, pair up with somebody if you can, and then share your answer with me. So take a minute to think about it first, and then let me know what you think. Okay, you ready? All right, so how were their adventures similar? Yes, they all helped others, some people, some animals, they all helped others, and even though they were little tiny people, they did big, great things. That sounds like a moral. Is there a moral to this story? You're right, and it is the same moral as the last two folk tales we read together, that little people can do big things. All right, so there's Issun-bōshi's adventures were similar to Tom Thumb and Thumbelina's in that Issun-bōshi, just like Tom Thumb and Thumbelina, helped others and did big things. Speaking of helping others, there was a word in our story today, and that word was deeds. Can you say the word deeds with me? Deeds. Now, deeds are acts that can be good or brave, as in today's story. For example, Michelle's New Year's resolution was to do several good deeds for others. Have you ever done a good deed for others? You have? Why don't you tell me about it? Oh, that is so kind of you. That is a wonderful good deed for you to have done. For me, I would say I did a good deed when... It's so hard when you're always doing good things for people, honestly. No, I did a good deed when I shared my chips with my sister. She didn't have her own bag, so I shared mine with her. Wasn't that nice of me? Yeah. What I want you to do, I want you to think about a time you've done a good deed, and yes, another good deed, and go share that with someone else. And thank you for listening to me tell you the story of Issun-bōshi today. You know what? That's a good deed right there. And Issun-bōshi, just like Tom Thumb and Thumbelina, did great things even though he was small, just like you can too. Well, until we meet again, bye.